Joining me now, Washington Times opinion editor Charlie Hurt, Washington Examiner chief political correspondent Bryon. And let me start, Charlie, with you. I have never seen anything like that, so insensitive, so repugnant. I can't even imagine CNN, no matter the depths of its ideological depravity, stooping to such a low.
Yeah, I consider myself a bit of a connoisseur of bad reporting and reckless reporting and what you might call fake news from established, highly regarded outfits like the New York Times. And I can tell you, I have never in my life seen anything as reckless and stupid and dangerous and misguided as that, and as that CNN report. And I have to say that what's really terrifying about this is it is such an explosive, it's such a dangerous thing that they put out there that a reporter didn't come up with this. Wolf Blitzer didn't come up with this. This came from the top. That's the only way somebody at CNN could have gotten away with doing this, because if somebody else had thought of it, Jeff Zucker would have thrown them out of his office and said, "Are you insane?" And yeah. So, you can only assume that this must have been Zucker's idea.
What do you think, Bryon? Do you think it comes from the top, and what are your personal reactions?
Well, this is something that you have to be really, really careful about. I mean, when you're on television, generally in the news, the idea has been if you talked about the assassination of a president, it was because somebody had been arrested, maybe a plot had been uncovered. There was some actual
There has
news.
to be a premise.
You don't just make it up. And they just made up this entire scenario about this on this inauguration day. We'd have to go back and check and see if they'd ever done something like this before, but it was really extraordinary.
Well, that would only give them a history of poor judgment and reckless conduct. I mean, this is so awful that I can't imagine the board of Time Warner, those executives at Time Warner, tolerating this nonsense. And to your point, Charlie, this is the stuff of which careers should be interrupted. And whoever is responsible for it, and ultimately that has to be Jeff Zucker. He would. This didn't go on the air. I think you're exactly right, Charlie. Without approval.
And remember, the end of this story was somehow the Obama administration would just kind of stay in power if this were to be the case, because we don't have a Republican Secretary of State, which is where the line of succession goes after President, Vice President, Speaker House, and President pro tem of the Senate. That was kind of the end scenario, was that the Obama administration doesn't have to give up power.
Right.
And when I got to that part of the story, I have to say, it made me wonder, well, is CNN in cahoots with Chuck Schumer and Democrats, and that's why they didn't confirm any of his secretaries before now? That sounds preposterous, and I'm embarrassed to even say it, but my goodness, when we're dealing with facts or fake news like this, what are we left to believe?
Well, and the hiring of Valerie Jarrett, daughter, as the Justice Department correspondent, who has never reported before, and specifically decided management that she would be perfect for the Trump Justice Department.
Well, you know that in the past there has been a little bit of a revolving door between political offices and the press, and most of it is Democrats going into the media. Some of them have had great careers, like Tim Russert, who had worked for a Democrat long before he went to NBC. But there
may be three examples where that has worked.
Well, pick George Stephanopoulos.
That's two.
Probably the most partisan warrior in the Clinton administration in the beginning of it.
And many would argue that he is also one of the most partisan warriors sitting behind a news desk at a major network. Charlie, you get the last word.
Well, who knows what CNN is up to right now, but it does strike me that it's almost like they're the Democrats in that they're so desperate, they're struggling for relevance, that they're willing to sort of go out there and say anything and do anything just to get attention.
Well, attention they've gotten, and now we'll see what the consequences are. Charlie Hurt, thanks for being with us. Bryon, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.